Sounds good. Right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Business in the Arts seminar. This week we have Lily Lachman, who is the founder of Keys Nutrition Keys. She is a certified nutritionist and plenty more. She knows what she's talking about, and we are delighted to have Lily with us today. So we'll spend some time. Lily's going to talk to us a little bit, but we want this to be an interactive session. So please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. If you don't have, or you're not speaking, please leave yourself on mute so that we won't have any disturbances. And we're recording this so we can all watch it again later, and you can share it with your friends. It'll be on YouTube. All right, so Lily, welcome, and we're happy to have you here, and look forward to sharing some time together. And so happy to have you, Lily.
Thank you, James. Thanks for introducing me. So again, my name is Lily Lachman. Everyone call me Lily. I'm a registered dietitian, and I'm also a diabetes care education specialist. I'm the owner and founder of Keys Nutrition Keys, which is my business. And today I'll be going over eating healthy during COVID. So you could just stop me after each slide to ask questions. As James said, it's going to be interactive. So you could always, ask me a question if you need to. So the objective of this presentation is to help individuals make healthy meal choices during COVID-19, to show how individuals can use the My Plate guide for meal planning. Also for individuals, will understand the benefits of eating healthy, to give individuals tips on making nutritious meals during COVID-19, and to show how individuals to monitor portions, how to monitor their portion size. So this is my introduction here. So COVID-19 can cause quarantine 15. So the expert is saying that during this time, people on average will gain at least 15 pounds. And this is due to inactivity and overeating during this time, right, James? During this time. Eating healthy can reduce the quarantine 19 and other chronic diseases. So people with diseases like diabetes, heart disease, and those who are maybe on acute renal disease, they can learn to eat healthy to reduce the risk of the complications or the risk of other things that might happen during this time. For example, if you have diabetes and you decide that you're not gonna stick to the diet that you're supposed to be on, eating too much carbs or too much sugar, you can end up with hypoglycemia. And right now, I don't think anyone wants to go into the hospital. You could use the My Plate plan as a guide to improve your portions. And you could also use it in a way that today we're going to talk about it, that it's going to be a no one size fit all nutrition support. So this is what the My Plate plan looks like. It shows where you should have, the recommendation is for you to have half a plate of veggies or fruits, or veggie and fruit, a quarter starch, and a quarter protein. Typically, it helps for us to monitor our portion size, and the size plate that you should be having is a 9-inch plate. And I do have a 9-inch plate here. The 9-inch plate should be a breakfast plate. We have those big dinner plates. Those are 12 inches. The breakfast size plate, that's the 9-inch plate you should be eating from. And for children and adults, for children, their plate should be about 7 inches. Any questions so far?
No, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So this slide talk about the no one size fits all. So if you want to eat healthy and you want that plate to be individualized, For example, I have 1 serving of chicken. Here, chicken breast is 3 ounces. And if I'm to fit it on the plate, it fits right here, right? But if I should put it in the palm of my hands, you could see that it doesn't fit, right? There's a space leaving on my palm. Everyone could see this? So the premise is that you should have a lean protein or any kind of protein, and it should fit the size of the palm of your hand. So here, I might need a little bit more protein, maybe 1.5 amount of chicken breast. This is 3 ounces. So 3 plus 1.5 ounces, that's gonna be 1.5 ounces. That's gonna be about 3, 4, 5 ounces for me. Someone who is about 6 feet tall, or someone who is about 5 feet tall, you know, one is gonna need less protein, one is gonna need more. The starch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is a chicken breast a usually 3 ounces or 4 ounces? How can you tell?
Half of a chicken breast is usually about 3 ounces.
Okay.
Yes. So, but that's a very good question, actually. So your starch amount, which would be, well, you could see the grains, that's the brown part of the plate, the size should be the size of your fist. So if you notice, some people have a smaller fist than some, so that should be the size that would actually fit on your plate. Okay? Next, your cheese size. And most people, when I'm doing this, you know, to my patients, they usually laugh at me. The cheese size should be the tip of your thumb. So that first mark, that should be the serving of your cheese, your peanut butter, your mayo. So just look at the tip of your thumb and see the amount you should be having. So that's the portion size for your meal. Another thing too, for your drink, your juice or your milk or your coffee or tea with sugar, it should be the size of your fist turning this way. Everyone can see this? Okay, so on the plate too, we see that half of it should be vegetable. So your vegetables should be varied. Vegetables are low in calories. That's why when most people go on a low carb diet, they eat a lot of vegetables. 1 cup of vegetable is equal to 25 calories versus 1 cup of starch. It's going to be like more than 200, because 1/3 of a cup is 80 calories. So any veggie juice, as long as it say 100%, is considered a vegetable group. It counts as your veggie serving. It can be raw, cooked, frozen, dried. It can be whole, or it could be mashed. Okay, so that's your vegetable group there. Try to vary your vegetable when you cook. Buy those that are in season. Stock up on the ones that are frozen or easily cooked. I know right now I think it's bean or steam cut in bags. You could pop that in the microwave, and in 5 minutes or less, you get your vegetable right there. You should try to vary your vegetable choice in terms of how you prepare it. For example, you could add vegetables to your breakfast, because the aim is to try to eat vegetables at least 3 times a day. If you add it to your meals for breakfast, you could have vegetable omelet. You could have maybe a toast with cream cheese and sliced tomatoes, or you could have bacon, egg, and cheese and lettuce for breakfast. For lunch, you could maybe have some soup, barley soup or quinoa salad. And dinner, you could have maybe a large green salad or some steamed vegetable. So varying your fruits and your vegetables is important to add variety to your meals, okay?
So I had a mushroom omelet this morning. The mushroom counts, right?
Yes.
All right. What about avocados? We love avocados and eat quite a bit of them. But I understand that they're a little higher in calories and fat, but how are they?
So avocado is actually falls in the fat group. So that's good fat. And of course, we still have to monitor the portion. Like a small avocado, a portion of that will be a quarter. But if you have half, that's still good. So that's one fat that I would say, yes, go for it. In terms of fruit, keep fruits visible on your countertop for you to eat more. Because if it's not inside, you won't have it, right? The same thing when you have chips at home or snacks at home, they're visible so you reach for it. If you do have children at home, make sure you have a nice big bowl of fruit to be there for your kids or for yourself to grab one, throughout the day. Buy fresh and in season. Fresh and in season are always better, taste better, right? The fruit is better than the drink. For example, when I'm counseling people with gestational diabetes, that's diabetes during pregnancy, I always recommend for them to eat fruit instead of drinking the juice, because the fruit will have more fiber and it will raise their blood sugar less readily than the 100% juice. Always try to snack on fruits. You could have fruits with breakfast, fruits with or for lunch, fruits with or for dinner. You could have a fruit salad for lunch. Dinner time, you could always make like a fruit pie or a dessert fruit and have that to incorporate more fruits in your diet. Any question on that slide, anyone? You could always unmute yourself and you could always say something.
Yeah, Noy asked, what about bananas in the chat?
Someone asked about bananas. So yeah. Bananas are very good. The only difference, those people who do have diabetes, you want to have the smaller bananas, because bananas is a high glycemic food. That means this food, when you do eat it, tend to raise your blood sugar faster than, say, if you have an apple or a pear. So bananas are very good to have. It's packed with potassium, which is also good for the body. Any more questions?
What is a desert fruit?
A what?
A desert fruit. Is it any fruit, or are there specific fruits that are desert fruit?
Any fruits are great for dessert. Any fruits. If you're watching your portion size, if it's a fruit that is cut up, 1 cup is good. And if it's small fruits that are whole, you could have 1. I know in the Caribbean, you're calling from Turks, right? You're logging in from Turks?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much. So like tangerines, though, you could have 2 of those. And you could have like 1 orange. As I said before, the tropical fruits are raise your blood sugar readily than other fruits. They're called high glycemic fruits. So you try to not to have too much of that, but pineapples, watermelons, you want to have like a cup when you're having that. Any more questions?
Yes, Ms. Latchman, I would like to know, for bowel movement, is it true that banana is good for that?
Actually, yes, you're correct. When I work in hospital, in a clinical setting, and patients who are usually on tube feed meaning they have to do liquids through their nose or, through oral, we do have a powder that is made from banana that we added to their tube feed for them to have, free bowel movement, but you're correct. Any more questions? Okay, so let's move to the other slide. Making 1/4 of your plate starch. So your starch content has to be, made from whole grain foods. Yes, we have some processed foods. We do eat white rice, or we eat maybe ground provision, but make half your grain whole. And meaning of this is basically that whole grain foods from like brown rice, barley, cornmeal, oats. Those are usually whole grain foods. And then make simple changes. Yeah, instead of having white bread, you could switch to wheat. Some people hate wheat bread, but whole grain breads are kind of the color. I guess most times the color that throw people off, but whole grains is less brown than the whole wheat bread, I should say. Try to switch from like a white bagel to like bagels with seeds, or whole grain bagel. Whole grain pasta. If you do eat tortillas or pita breads, you could do mostly the whole wheat or whole grain ones. Switch from white rice to brown rice. Have oatmeal or cornmeal porridge, or your grits. And these are foods that are packed with whole grains. Check your labels. Some foods might say whole wheat or whole grain, but when you check your label, you want to see the first ingredients to be whole wheat or whole grain cornmeal. But the premise is, if it's whole grain, the first ingredient is going to be whole wheat or whole grain. At meal times, try to incorporate whole grains into your meals. Most times. I was sharing with Tanya. I don't know if she's on the phone. You're on, Tanya? Tanya?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I was sharing with her. I made some something called polenta, but in Jamaica we call it turn cornmeal, or ton cornmeal, if I should speak patois. And when we were eating those foods in the Caribbean, we never even thought that it was so nutritious. Come to America and discover that turn cornmeal, or polenta, Italians call it polenta, is such a nutritious meal. So some of the foods that we take for granted in certain parts of the country, it's unbelievable that it is so helpful and so nutritious to our body. Snack times, try to have popcorn. Even though popcorn might seem like a simple meal, but popcorn is actually a whole grain food. Try to have 100% whole wheat or rye crackers, or whole grain crackers. So, any questions so far?
Yeah, if I have a bagel for breakfast and put peanut butter on it and butter, and I guess my really question is, do we have to, if I had a meal that's mostly starch, do I need not to have any starch for the rest of the day, or how do you need all of these things for all your meals every day?
Yes, for a meal to be for your nutrition goal, you want to have a balanced diet where you want to have at least 3 meals each day. So your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, you try to incorporate 2 or 3 of these meals. Like, your meal won't be balanced if you just sit and have a whole bowl of vegetables. You could have a whole bowl of vegetables, but I always recommend that you put a little peas or corn, which will take place of your starch. And then if you add protein, that's a complete meal. But eliminating one fruit group is not really balanced. Some people, when they're trying to lose weight, they'll eliminate starch at dinner, but they're not really eliminating starch, as it were, because if they're adding peas, corn, or beans, those are called starchy vegetables. So they will make up for the starch they think they're missing out on. But that's a good question. Any more questions? There's a question in the chat group. It just popped up. Can you read it, Jim?
Yeah, if you're trying to cut sugar off your diet, what would you use to sweeten your cereal, your porridge? What's a good sweetener?
So cinnamon is a good sweetener, and you could use dried cranberry or dried raisins. And if you can get dates, you could actually you could find this recipe, it's all over the internet. You could make something called date honey, and you could use it in your oatmeal. For oatmeal too, you could do something called a overnight oat, and in this overnight oat, you could use bananas, you could use any kind of fruit in this oatmeal. The next morning, it's usually sweet or taste sweet. Unless your taste bud likes something super sweet, these things usually sweeten your oatmeal. You could also use maple syrup too if you don't have sugar, but of course, small portions. As I said before, cinnamon, when you add cinnamon overnight or add cinnamon to your meal, it's usually, sweeten your oatmeal.
What about things like honey? Is that a good sweetener? And then the second part of that is, what about things like artificial sweeteners? And I can't think of the name of it right now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Splenda and Equal and stuff like that.
Yes.
So for people who have diabetes, I would say no to honey, because honey is also considered a sugar, and it will raise the person's blood sugar. For sugar substitute, it all depends on the person's preferences. Sugar sweeteners are fine to have, not in a large amount, because the studies are still not, 100% say they're not great for you.
Gotcha. And then the comment was that white rice is not whole grain.
No, it's not. It's a refined starch. The portion size, gives you the same calories, but the difference in the brown rice is that it's packed with, vitamin B, and also it's higher in fiber. Any more question?
Question here, what can you use to replace rice?
To replace rice, you could use, well, it's gonna be hard to get these things in the Caribbean, but you could do bulgur. You could do cornmeal. You could do something called quinoa. You could do buckwheat. I know they have bulgur in the Caribbean. I know they have bulgur, but bulgur is pretty good too. That's a whole wheat. And then I don't know if you could get buckwheat, couscous. All of these are, and you could do pasta. So those are things you could do to replace rice if the brown one is not readily available. Good. Any more question on that? Any more question on that slide? One more pop in, James.
Question is, what about organic honey?
It don't matter whether it's refined, processed, or organic, it gives you the same amount of sugar, and it has the same effect on the body. Okay. Good.
Yep.
Any more question?
In terms of rice, spaghetti, or pasta rather, those different kinds of starches, is there one that's better for you than another? If it's whole grain, yes, obviously. But so spaghetti or rice, between those two, which I love both of, is there one I should have more often than the other?
Not necessarily. If you follow the pattern of just the fish size, you're having your correct portion size. But any of these whole grains, anyone on the any whole grain with 3 grams or more of fiber is actually a good choice. So
Great.
you'll find that the brown rice might be more than the whole grain pasta. You'll find that buckwheat will be high. Barley is going to be high because these are starch that is not, they're natural. So those things are not going to be very high because the rice, kind of processed. Any more question on that? I think one came in.
Sorry. Yeah, if somebody has diabetes
Yes.
and loves cornmeal porridge, what would you use to sweeten it?
Okay, very good question. And my sister is gonna be laughing at me. So when I make my cornmeal porridge, and my mom visited me from Jamaica, and when I make my cornmeal porridge, I use coconut milk to spice it up. And then I used a Splendor or Equal. So I don't sweeten the whole pot. I just sweeten the portion that I'm having. I use Splendor or I use Equal. And then I have sugar-free maple syrup that I use to sweeten it. Of course, when you add your vanilla, your cinnamon, and a little salt, I like it. It tastes good for me. I know Tana is cracking up right now, but yes, you could use Splendor or Equal or sugar-free maple syrup to sweeten your porridge. And as I said before, you could use coconut milk or you could use any other milk of your choice. So that's a very good question. Okay, any more questions? So those are real good questions. So I'm gonna move on to protein if no one have any more questions. So make quarter of your plate protein. So protein is good for the body. It helps to build and repair body tissues. So when we get a cut, if we didn't eat protein, that cut will take longer to heal. So protein is very good for the body. So vary your protein choices. There's a picture on your, I don't know if you all could see my pointer. And you see the different proteins that you eat. Of course, some people are Sabbath worshipers, some people are vegan, some people don't eat beef, they just eat fish. But you still have a lot of choices within the protein food group. For example, for breakfast, you could do eggs, you could do peanut butter or almond butter, you could do bacon, you could do cheese, you could do, had nuts, your oatmeal. I always tell the ladies who I counsel who are pregnant, always try to balance your meals. So balancing your meals basically means that every meal you eat always have protein and starch. Vegetables are always unlimited. Go for lean protein. Skinless meats, the leanness would be turkey and chicken and fish. Leaner would be, chicken without the skin. For those who eat beef, the best ones would be like anything that says loin, beef and pork. Anything that says loin, those are the leaner part of the meat. Okay. Try to eat fish at least twice weekly if you can. Of course, you know that you could do canned fish, or you could do sardines, mackerel. Those in the Caribbean will understand better. I don't know if James, know about eating canned fish, your sardines, your mackerel, your salmon. You could have, incorporate that in your diet weekly. Try to go ahead. You're gonna say something, James?
Yeah, just canned fish, like tuna. We eat a lot of tuna fish.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a problem with mercury if you eat too much? Swordfish, those kinds of fish.
Well, for those who are pregnant, yes, it's recommended that they only have one each week. But if you're not pregnant, you could have however much you want. And if you do feel, you know, icky about, you know, getting, you know, mercury, you could always wash it off. I know it sounds weird, but the tuna fish comes in oil or water. You wash it off. The same goes too for, I'm kind of regressing back. If you do buy canned vegetable, you can rinse it off before you eat them to take off the excess, you know, whatever they use to preserve it and the salt that is there. So try to choose a plant-based meal at least once. I usually put on my Instagram page or my Facebook page a meatless meal that I'm having that month. I usually do Monday. I try to do at least twice a week, but I don't want to, you know, force or seem overly crazy and not post it on Facebook that I do meatless at least twice a week. This, you could just experiment. I think 2 weeks ago, Tanya and I, we were trying to experiment on meatless meals, trying to have a cook-off. And she showed me one, like she did spaghetti with, what was it, Tanya? What did you do again?
Spaghetti with chickpeas.
Yes, spaghetti with chickpeas. And I didn't even think of that because, of course, I'm always looking, oh, I don't want to have too much carbs, but it's a complete meal right there. Same thing goes for, like, if you're having potatoes with black beans or red beans. If you're having rice and brown rice and beans, that's a complete meal right there. So varying your protein simply means you can have some plant-based protein sometimes. Any question? And of course, your nuts and your seeds you could have for snacks. You could add nuts, seeds to your smoothie. Same goes for your, if you want to increase your vegetable intake, you could put it in your smoothie. Same goes for your fruit, put it in your smoothie. For fruit, except people who have diabetes, you cannot blend up a whole thing of fruits and drink that because it's gonna raise your blood sugar. Any questions so far? Okay. No questions so far, so I'm gonna move on. Oh. So let's talk about milk. So the nutrition content in milk include potassium, vitamin D, protein, and calcium. And of course, milk also has sugar. Like when I'm counseling people with diabetes, I have to remind them that milk is also a carbohydrate, of which that's a totally different area in nutrition, which we won't cover today. So milk is good. So the choices should be skim or low fat. Low fat is usually the 1% milk. When you do 2% or whole milk, that's not low fat. Okay, choose low fat yogurt or no fat yogurt or low fat cheese. Another thing is that you could also incorporate milk in or cheese or any dairy product in your diet. You could always add milk to your morning coffee. You could add milk to your oatmeal, milk to your cornmeal porridge. You could also top cheeses on any meals you have. You could have it added to your salad. You could top it on any kind of beans you're having. Like if you're doing black bean chili, you could do sour cream or cheddar cheese on top to make it taste real good. To your cereal, you could also add milk to your Cheerios or your corn flakes. And if you're lactose intolerant, or I always tell the ladies, the pregnant women, to have a plant-based milk because you do get calcium from leafy green vegetables. Any questions so far? No question. Okay. So this slide, I might spend a little time on just because this is one of the issues that we're having, I think worldwide, where a lot of people are not drinking smart. So I'll start with, you know, cutting back on alcohol drinks for those who drink alcohol. So the recommendation is that a man should have 1 drink per day, which is a 12 ounce of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or I think 2 ounces of hard liquor, which is your whiskey or your gin. Men should have two serving, men 2 and women 1 each day. But during this time, which is our COVID time, I know one thing in America right now, one of the places that's now open is a liquor store. So I can't imagine what's going to happen after this COVID. So you're given the choice. You can't go, you're not supposed to be out on the play field or walking around, but the liquor store is open. And people are depressed, people are anxious, and I have a lot of feedbacks where people telling me they're drinking more so than usual. Those who never, you know, drink alcohol before is drinking alcohol now. So we're gonna have a problem after this, you know, COVID is over. Yes, we're trying to fight this plague, but there's gonna be a lot of health issues with people all over the world after everything is said and done. So you limit your drinks made with sugar and artificial sweeteners. So the best thing right now to drink is water. Yes, a lot of people buying up all the waters in the store, but as I remind a friend of mine, she's like, Lily, I can't get water. I said, you're from Jamaica. Don't you know you could boil your water, pour them in a glass container? I don't get what you're saying. She's like, oh, I didn't remember. You know, so we get used to buying the bottles, you know, from the supermarket that we forget that you could boil your own water and pour it in a container, you know. And for people who do not like to drink a lot of water, I know for myself, I like to drink a lot of water, but I usually buy celery. So what I do is to chop the celery up, put them in a container and pour the water on the celery, and I just drink the celery. Or if I see like cucumbers on sale in the supermarket or any fruit or vegetable on sale in the supermarket, I usually buy extra, chop it up, and then pour the water over it. And it's usually very tasty. Now that we're talking about the COVID, risk of getting COVID, one thing you could really add to your water is fruits, lime or lemon or an orange, you know, just to, you know, make that water very nutritious, and also it helps to boost your immune system because it's packed with vitamin C.
That brings up, it does, and maybe we don't know yet, but how long does COVID live on the food that we have?
That's a good question. Right now, there's no one knows. I know I read a little about it stays like 17 days on metal, 3 hours on a cardboard. But in terms of safety, when you leave the supermarket and come home, what I do, I put everything in the sink, like fruits that's washable, and I just turn hot water on them, do like a flash hot water. Like, you know, you do flash freeze, I do flash hot water, just pour out, just use the spray part, spray hot water on them, and then I do cold water. What I do with everything else, I put a plastic bag on the floor and I lay everything out. Then I spray the Lysol spray on them, and then I wipe them off. So that's what I do. If I don't have time, I sit them out overnight because I know COVID doesn't last, for now, doesn't last that long. Doesn't last that long on these things, okay? Any more questions? Yep, there's one there.
Question is, why Lysol? I thought that was poison.
Oh, Lysol, well, I use the Lysol and then I wash it off. I wash it off after. You could always dilute bleach and use bleach, but that's another story right there. But when I do use the Lysol, I wipe them off after just to kill the virus, because I know the Lysol killed the coronavirus. Any more questions?
I know, that's what you asked her.
Oh. Okay, so basically, that's the end of my slide. These are my resources. So I don't know if you could all see this, but if you go to the first website here, zippie.com, you could actually do a survey to see how much you will or you have gained weight during this time, or how much you will gain over this time. So it's zippia.com/research, or if you just put in quarantine-15, you could actually take a survey and find out how much you will gain or how much you have gained, even if you know. The second one is choosemyplate.gov. Most of what I spoke about was actually from this website, and they have real good information on, you know, the different aspect of the food groups and how to vary the way you eat. And as I said before, they have recipes, and you could also be a member of that. Every time like a recipe comes up or a tip for the week comes up, they'll send it directly to you. Okay, so that's it. Any more questions?
Wow, this has been wonderful, Lily. Thank you for all this good information. This will be posted, as we said, on YouTube, so you can follow up. And Lily, how do we contact you if you'd like people to, or would you like people to contact you directly? And how do you help us individually or in groups? Tell us a little bit more about how your business is working and what we can do to get to you.
Okay, so so to get to me, I do have a website. Let me bring it up back, and the information should, I'm sorry, escape. 1 second. Share. Okay. Share my screen.
Oh, and somebody asked, yes, I think you answered them, but can we get copies of the slides? And yeah, you're going to send them, or how do we go? How are we going to do that?
I could actually, I'm going to put up my information on the first slide. Okay. Yeah, so these are the information. This is my email address. If they could see, they could write it down. And that's my website you could always go to.
All right. And if you'll send me, if you'd like, I'll field it for you and send the slides out too. It's up to you.
Okay. Okay. And then I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page too, where people could always message me. And then for those doing Turks, you could always reach out to my sister too. She'll have my information. Okay. So thank you all for checking in. You know, I hope this session was very informative and it helped you in some way to make your eating habits better.
Yeah, I wanted to just say thank you so much for a very informative and very interesting presentation. It certainly cleared up a lot for me, and I'm so thankful for it.
You're welcome, Minister Deacon Smith, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Lily.
There's one more question, Jim. There's one more question.
Oh.
Let's lag a little to see if people will ask questions.
All right. So the question was, thanks.
That's Jim. Jim is asking a question.
Yeah, the question was, thanks, and is there a next time? That's a very good question.
Yeah, Jim is the one who does this, and of course I'll be available. Just let me know what the topic. I do see quite a few questions comes in on diabetes, and I'm really happy to give another one on diabetes. Say diabetes during COVID. I'll be happy to do one more like that.
Boy, I think that's a great idea. We do these, and we're doing these every week. They're new, but if you'd like to be included in the invitation, send me or Lily an email and we will be sure that you're on the list. We're doing different topics on business. We're going to do profit. We've had a banker come on. They're going to be on YouTube. We've had a real estate person come on. So I hope we're picking topics that people will be interested in, and we'd love to have you join us every Friday at noon.
So Jim, there's another question. As I said, just wait a little to see what's going on. So I'm confused between nuts
And beans, right.
So nuts and beans are considered protein and good fats. The serving sizes might be a little, okay, nuts and, I thought seeds, nuts and beans. So nuts are good fat and protein. Beans are good starch and protein. So if you have diabetes, you cannot have a lot of beans, but it's good for you. It's high in fiber and it has protein. And then for nuts, you should just try to it's 1 ounce per serving. When I say to people, yes, you could eat nuts as a snack, and they're like, oh, Lily, I can't lose weight. And I said, okay, what are you having? They'll say nuts. And when they show me them on the nuts they're having, I'm like, no. First of all, foods that are fat is usually higher in calories. 1 ounce or 1 gram, I should say, of fat is equal to 9 calories versus 1 gram of starch and 1 gram of protein equals to 4. So that is why when people have a low fat diet, they tend to lose weight more so than if they have a low carb diet, So that's the reason why we cannot have a lot of fat.
Gotcha.
Yes, more.
Yeah, another comment. Can you do a session on feeding picky eaters during COVID with limited access to food, especially fresh food? Good.
Yes,
question.
I definitely could do my research and do that, of course. Someone asked, will you be doing a session on finance? Yes, Andrew, are you online, Andrew? You could talk a little.
Andrew was here and did a session on finance. It is on our YouTube channel, and we can send you a link to that if you'd like.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure we could use more questions like that.
Okay.
We have a finance guy who we're talking with, and I think he's going to come on. He's going to check to see if he could do it legally. But yeah.
Let me see if I could text Andrew that he could talk a little bit.
Yeah.
He might be at work. I texted him this morning. He was at work. Can you do video now?
I got too much things on my.
One another thing too. If you want, Andrew is a bank manager and an assistant director for his bank here. Andrew could actually do a Zoom with you guys if that's something you want to do or something you want to know. He'll be very happy to do that because he's home right now and he said he wants stuff to do. So Andrew could also do that. Yes.
He could do that and can join us again here too.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of good things. Yes, Andrew Boyd at M&T Bank here in Connecticut is a great resource, and he reaches out and will help talk about whatever you need.
He loves helping his community, and I'm sure either you could we'll talk. James will talk to him, and then if he could actually do something for you guys where you could log into your Zoom and have more one-to-one with him that way. Okay, so
exactly.
I think that's it. No more question.
No. Thank you.
Thank you,
This has
James,
been great.
for inviting me. Thank you so much. And bye, everyone. Thanks for logging in.
Bye. And the
Listen.
recording would be on YouTube, and we'll get you a link to the YouTube channel where it'll be.
Okay.
All right, great.
All right. Bye, everyone. Okay, Andrew won't be able to make it because he's in another meeting. So, okay, bye.